Hello, welcome to the Summit League Women's Basketball Coaches Show, our preview of the upcoming season. Tom Neiman along with Brad Newitt, and some exhibition games get going this week already, November 9th. Bradley, is the go date for the first regular season games of the season.
Yeah, here we go. This is always such an exciting time of the year, these seasons. They kind of come at us quick here in the fall, but it's going to be go time for these teams. But, I think after last year and some of the disruptions we had, I know everyone's ready and excited for hoops.
University of St. Thomas joins the league this year. Nice round. 10 teams in the Summit League this year. This is the preseason poll voted on by the coaches and sports information people and selected media. And for the women, it's South Dakota, South Dakota State. South Dakota, the defending Summit League tournament champion. South Dakota State, the defending regular season champion.
Yeah, certainly no surprise seeing those two teams at the top again. They've been there year after year. And I think especially now coming off of last season where, again, no eligibility was used by any of the players. So both of those programs really have their complete rosters back again. And not only are they ranked near the top of the Summit League, I wouldn't be surprised, Tom, to see them in the national rankings here when those preseason polls come out too.
All right, St. Thomas comes in there at number 10. Nobody knows a lot about them is part of the reason for that, but the University of St. Thomas is in St. Paul, Minnesota. The Tommies make the jump from Division III to Division I this year. That's a big leap. They played 7 games in February and March, won 6 of them, but that was against Bethel and Gustavus Adolphus. It's going to jump up a notch, and they know that this year.
Yeah, they do. They knew this was coming, but this is really unprecedented. No other university in the history of the NCAA has made this kind of jump, and I think everyone in the Summit League is super excited to have them in the Summit League and also super excited to see how this transition is going to go for them.
Ruth Sin is the longtime head coach at the University of St. Thomas. Here's David Brown with Coach Sin.
You've been here for 17 years now. First year in Division I, obviously the move was made last summer. How have you guys been sort of mentally preparing now that you're on the cusp of basketball season?
Well, like with anything, we're studying the best of the best, and that's in the Summit League. So we've been, watching a lot of film and, really trying to educate our student athletes about what the next step is going to be and, the opportunities with that. And so we're really excited about the growth and the development and the change. In my office, I always have a quote that says, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And so we're going to have a lot of challenges, but we're excited about the opportunity just to grow.
You mentioned studying. So when you look at the other teams around the Summit League, what have you noticed in terms of how they play the game versus the D3 opponents you faced in the past?
Well, bigger, faster, stronger. It's a great league in the way they approach it. The athletes are in great condition, they're great shape, but you can tell that they love the game. They play the game with their whole self, and they're all in. I love watching some of the films and just watching the body language of their players, and everybody from the top to the bottom just really enjoy what they're doing, and they put their whole self into it. So we're really excited about going into a league like that. They have embraced the opportunity. They have embraced just the chance to do this together. We keep talking to them. They get to write this story. And for years to come, people are going to be telling them a story. And we've got to be very intentional with how we're going to write this and how we're going to handle things and just get invested in the process of, every single day getting better.
Among the players that you have coming back, who are you going to be leaning on, especially just in terms of who did well at D3 and can help you the most from an on-court perspective in D1?
Well, we have a healthy Kyle Porter back, which is great. We missed her actually junior year, and so last year she had a abbreviated season. So Kyle Porter is going to be a phenomenal contributor for us on the floor, obviously, but off the floor as far as a leadership and as far as understanding what our culture is going to be about. We're going to have Erin Norling, who is transferred for us, and she is going to do a great job for us. Her understanding of the game and her understanding of just how to bring everybody together has really been a great addition to our staff.
You have a very big picture approach, but you mentioned the process. As far as specifically on the court this season, what are realistic expectations?
Realistic expectation is that we're going to fight every single minute. We're going to continue to dare greatly, and very generalities right now, but we are really going to every single day get better, improve, and take a step closer to maximizing our potential. And with that, who knows what will happen.
Well, Tom, I tell you what, one thing when you look at the St. Thomas program, and they've had a lot of success at the D3 level. I mean, Coach sent 3 Final Fours, 3 more years she's made it to the Sweet 16, so they know success now. Can they foster some of that, environment and, kind of attitude and take that now to the Division I level? That's the thing I'm going to be interested to watch from afar here.
All right, Coach talked about Kaya Porter, a grad senior from Roseville, Minnesota. She led them with 20 points in their last game in Division III, so she's got that going. But here's Kaya Porter.
We've been doing our research, doing our work, and I think we understand just, the physicality of the game is another level. We have to be ready to just, give it back to teams because we know we're going to be getting hit in the lane, on the perimeter, wherever. It's a very physical league, but I think we're excited just the things that we can bring to it in terms of the way we play the game, our style of game. I'm playing for so much more than just, myself, my love of the game. It's trying to set up our program and the girls that will, our younger girls right now and the girls coming into the program so that St. Thomas, we can continue our legacy of excellence and the culture we've created here. It's super special, and I just want, to take it to another level and keep passing it on because I'm so excited for what the future will hold for our team, our program, and specifically, but also just St. Thomas athletics in general. And so I take that seriously, and I'm just, again, really grateful to be a part of it and try and make a mark on it.
I just love the attitude there of Kaya Porter and just, wanting to know that, even though this season's probably going to have some rough spots, they know what they're building for and building the program for the future. And I think that's just a great attitude that these players have already.
They had a 77-game win streak in their old conference, the MIAC in Division III, but now into the Summit for St. Thomas this year. We will see what happens. All right, at number 9 in the preseason poll is the University of North Dakota. Last winning season they had was in 2017. That's when they were still in the Big Sky. They were 6th in their first season in the Summit and then 7th, but then last in the league last year, trying to get it going again now in Grand Forks.
Yeah, definitely a rough season last year. Coaching change, I think, had some to do with that too. But this was a team in North Dakota that just really never got on track offensively. They really struggled scoring the basketball, only got 2 wins last year. I know they're looking to improve on that, but they're kind of hitting the reset button again with a lot of new faces on their team.
All right, here is Alex Heinert with UND head coach Mallory Bernhardt.
Mallory, this now is your 2nd season as head coach of the program that you start in, but your first without the interim tag. Just talk us through maybe what difference, if any, your approach happens now without that particular label.
Yeah, it definitely feels like year one again. A lot of those kind of new to the world things, especially when you talk about being able to have a full summer, when you talk about being able to bring in like a full recruiting class and just start to be able to kind of take things with a different approach, knowing that there is not that interim label and thinking of the next, several years ahead. But yeah, it's been like year 1 times 2, I guess.
This team obviously had a tough season last year. What have you and the staff done to help build up this group now as you move into your 2nd year after that disappointment?
Yeah, no doubt. We definitely took a good hard look at the mirror and really addressed some of the things that we felt like we fell short in last year. And truthfully, we spent a lot of time working on skill development stuff, really trying to hone in on those individual skills. We understand, now that we're together as a team, as we've gotten into October, that's where we really start trying to mesh everyone together, get the team lined up. But we really, really took a hard look and hard approach of developing skills, working on those individual things in hopes that now once we come together, that those carry over.
You and every other program across the country, it feels like, had a off season of change, so many new faces coming in. How would you and the staff go about rebuilding this team now this year?
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of new faces. Anyone that walks in the gym might have to pull out the roster sheet a little bit to see who's there. But we brought in new players that we really feel like can address some of the things we needed to fix right away. I think you look right away, some of the main things we need to continue to address the shooting. And we brought in some players that we really think can help us there. And just hard-nosed, tough players. We really are trying to make our team identity just how hard we're going to work. I think we did that at times last year, but it needs to be part of our DNA. And so we brought in players that's part of what they do. We brought in Jolie Daniger from DePaul, a player who I think is really going to help us at the point position, but also shooting. Bringing Samaya Hoskins from Detroit Mercy, who is just a tough player. She's not going to let her shot go up without trying to crash and go get that rebound. And we brought in DJ Davis from junior college, who might be able to help us a little bit at that point spot as well, but really kind of add a defensive presence for us in that position. As well as some of our freshmen who are really stepping up. We also have, returning players that are making strides as well.
You mentioned some of those returners. Who should we expect to take a little bit of a leap either now as a sophomore or a junior, or even some of your seniors this season?
Yeah, when I look at like the younger classes, I really see like a Casey Baravich and an Olivia Lane really stepping up. There's always kind of that like sophomore year to junior year jump, and I've really seen a major jump from those two, both in just their individual skill, but also just their confidence. And then of course there's, some of those upperclassmen who are kind of filling more leadership roles. Claire Orth, Juliet Gordon, they've always been kind of like those leaders, but now they really see themselves emerging as like the voices in the locker room.
And Tom, you heard her mention a little bit about the skill development of her players, and I think that's going to be really important for them if they're going to make a step in the Summit League this year. They've got to get some of their younger players playing better, some of those new players she's going to bring in mixed into the fold. I mean, this is a team in UND that lost their 2 top scorers from last year.
Coach mentioned Olivia Lane, who was through that season last year, but she says they are only looking forward going into this year.
Winning 2 games last year, that kind of was in our heads. We're like, okay, well, we're really close to these games. This year we're just focusing on, okay, like we've had these losses, these close games, what can we do next? So when we're in those situations, we can have a better outcome. It's a clean slate. We just have to keep our mindset that we can't look back on our record last year. It's a new record, and we just have to go out there and play the best that we can and stay to our game plans that we have. If we can all work together with each other in our confidence, I think that's going to be a real positive thing for us.
I think even though North Dakota's still got a lot to prove, I think there's plenty of room in the lower half of the Summit League for them to make some steps and make some progress up the standings.
All right, coming up when we come back, a team that made a run all the way to the Summit League Tournament Championship game last year, and one of the traditional fun and gun teams in the league. And we'll take a look at Omaha and Western Illinois coming up next.
The Summit League Coaches Show on Midco Sports is presented by Vance Thompson Vision, Pioneer, Avera Orthopedics, and Billionauto.com.
Welcome back to the Summit League Women's Basketball Coaches Show. Tom Neiman along with Brad Newell. Let's talk about Omaha. The Mavericks going into their 10th season now in the Summit League. They turned it on at the end of last year, as we all remember. The 8th seed in the Summit League tournament beat South Dakota State, beat Western Illinois in the semifinals, lost to USD in the championship at the best tournament finish for Omaha last season.
Yeah, I mean, that's what March Madness is all about, and one of the great all-time wins probably in the Summit League tournament history, them knocking off the #1 seed and almost completing that magical run and getting to the NCAA tournament. But I tell you, Omaha was a team last year that improved every game and got better as the year went on.
All right, here is Omaha head coach Carrie Banks going into her 2nd season now. Carrie, let's just start with where it ended last year, and I don't know if that means anything going forward. It sounds like it does a little bit, but if nothing else, it was a great ride. But can you kind of carry how you ended up last year into this year?
Yeah, no, I mean, we ended on a very, very high note, and I think it's just kind of like Elena said, we had put in all this work, and last year had some unique disadvantages because of COVID and just game cancellations, and so being a new coach and having the stops and starts of that was really, really tough. So our kids were working. Some days we had 6 people in practice, but we still needed to keep them practicing. So to just see the work pay off at the end the way it did, really a testament to their perseverance, and I think kind of opened their eyes to what they're capable of.
Yeah, I mean, that you don't realize that winning can push you forward even further, right? And that's kind of where you guys are at?
Yeah, it's funny. People say that the easiest way is to just win, right? That's kind of how you figure it out. You win and, okay, we got this, so let's get another one. But yeah, I think it just kind of gave them confidence. With each win, they got more and more confident.
All right, if you get talent plus culture, you can kind of build some winning program. Where are you at on talent first of all, and then culture?
Yeah, well, I think we have obviously some very talented returners who are going to kind of anchor us and who have just, in this preseason been giving us the leadership that we need. And then we have 7 new kids this season that are all really, really talented, hungry, and, I like their energy. They just don't care. You know what I mean? So when you talk about the perfect mix, I think that's the perfect mix for some newcomers.
Lost a couple of guards that did a lot of things for you, but what do you do to kind of replace them? Is that some of the new players coming in?
Yeah. And I think that on the perimeter, we're going to be a little bit younger. You know what I mean? At the point guard spot, we'll be younger. But I just think their talent, their energy, their fearlessness, all those things cover a lot of ground when you have those type of kids on the floor.
Every night out, I think you guys feel like now we know that we can compete. Is that kind of the case?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it was the case last year too. You know what I mean? We had a lot of close games last year that, for whatever reason, we just didn't close out. And I think the interesting thing this year is, I don't think hopefully people will take us for granted as much, or, I think they'll know what we're capable of. So just kind of going into a game knowing, hey, we're going to get good games from people,
Now, to me, one of the biggest questions is at the guard spots for Omaha. When you look at what Omaha's got on the guard spot, they lost Claire Killian, and she was a big-time player for them, their best three-point shooter. Sarah Schmidt also not back this year for them, their leading assist person. So what's going to be Omaha at the guard spot? They got plenty inside, but the guards are the thing that concerned me a little bit.
All right, the Mavs will have some good bigs back on the floor, including Elena Pilakuta, who came to Omaha from Cyprus, a tiny little island nation in the Middle East in the Mediterranean Sea.
Omaha is a second home for me because, I don't know, the people here are really welcoming. They helped me adjust really quick and make that huge difference like a little smaller. So obviously adjusting to all the little things here, even like basketball, like it's so much faster here, and I'm used to like slow paced basketball, like take your time, a lot of plays, but here's like fast tempo, and I'm like, I had to get used to that too. I don't really want to base my role on like how many points I'm scoring or like how many minutes I'm playing. I just want to focus on being the best teammate I can and help my team win. If that's like having points, that's what it's going to be. Like if it's cheering on my teammates, that's what I want to focus on, because it's like it can be different from game to game. And I mean, I'm here to help my team win at the end of the day, so that's what I care about.
Well, Pilakuta, an unstoppable force inside. I mean, it's really hard to guard her one-on-one in the post. She really is one of the big reasons they carried to the Summit League championship game, is what she was doing inside. I think she's going to take another step this year, be one of the best players in the Summit League.
And we'll see if they can get started a little earlier this year and kind of keep some of that momentum going. All right, Western Illinois is always one of the most exciting teams in the league, as we've seen over the years. Won the regular season in the Summit League championship as recently as 2017. Usually have a couple of stars. They're just usually really fun to watch play.
Yeah, this is a team that likes to play a little more up-tempo, very offensive-minded. They were one of the best three-point shooting teams in the Summit League last year. The thing that was lacking a little bit for them was some of their defensive pressure, forcing the turnovers that they've done in the past to kind of give themselves some easier buckets. And I think that's one thing that they'll look maybe to try to get back to this year.
I think J.D. Gravina would agree. Here's Brian Shawn with the Western Illinois head coach.
All right, thanks, guys. The Western Illinois women's basketball team finishing 5th in the Summit League standings a year ago and making a tournament semifinal appearance. And J.D. Gravina in year 11 down in Macomb, taking some time to spend with us. And J.D., for you, I guess this is starting to become old hack. You're one of the elder statesmen in the league. Is that kind of weird for you?
It is a little weird. I mean, it's crazy to have been here, going on 11 years. To think when I got here, I didn't have any kids. My life was in a whole different place than it is now. And it's been really fun to make Macomb, our home. And it definitely feels that way. And, I love the university. I love the community. I love the players I get to coach. So it's been a real positive.
Well, you led the league in three-point attempts. You led the league in three-point makes. You get up and down. I suspect the formula is not going to change with this group moving forward.
Yeah, probably not. We're always looking for more scoring around the basket, both from dribble penetration and back to the basket scoring. I think that Evan, for example, will continue to pick up her scoring as she has every year. I think Danny Nichols will be getting to the basket a little bit more, especially with us losing Grace Gilmore. She was a kid who would attack the basket and kind of make things happen. But, we're always going to be a team that's going to be a little undersized and hopefully a little over-skilled, and we're always going to shoot a lot of three-pointers. In fact, it got the point last year where we'd say if the shot clock was winding down, instead of, Evan coming out instead of ball screen, just get to the corner and knock down a corner three. That's going to be one of the best shots we can get. So we've got a lot of kids that can shoot it, and we'll continue to do that. And, of course, analytically, that's, one of the better plays in basketball.
It's probably hard to take a lot out of last season, but as you look back at last year and try to make improvements, is there a specific area you focused on with your players and your team this summer?
I think the biggest thing was, two things. Number one, we completely changed how we taught our offense. We didn't actually change a lot about our offense, but how we taught it. We changed to kind of go from some of the bigger concepts of the spacing and the movement first, and then focus on more of the intricacies of the angles and reading our screens. And we used to flip-flop that. And I think that's really helped. I really feel like our offense is going to be a lot better. I think we're going to move the ball better than we have in the past couple years and really play as a team. The second thing is, we've been slowly but surely kind of transitioning away from our matchup defense. I just think that with the scouting and the video resources, if one team figures something out, then everyone's figured it out. I see that with my Kansas State Chiefs. Tampa Bay figured them out. Now it seems like everyone else is. And so I always believe in kind of reinventing the wheel. And we'll probably still throw in some zone, but we also have a really good personnel team to play man-to-man defense. I think this is my best defensive team I've had in quite a while. So I'm excited about it. It'll help our rebounding and I feel like you have a little more control to buckle down defensively.
That should be an interesting league season, JD. We appreciate the time as always. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on, Brian.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, good point about the Chiefs. Sorry to say, but what else about this?
Well, I think it's interesting that he points out that he feels like this could be his best defensive team, and they're getting better offensively. It sounds like a coach that feels like he's got a team that's ready to maybe make a couple more steps from where they were last year. I think the biggest thing is where is some of that scoring going to come from? He mentioned, Grace Gilmore not back on this team. She was their leading scorer last year.
Evan Zars shot 54%. That was second best in the league last year. But she and coach and all the Leathernecks are talking about defense.
Our team chemistry has always been really good on this team. That's never been an issue, but this year it's just really clicking and it's finally kind of showing on the floor. So it's really exciting to see, and it's just fun to go in every day and have a good practice and just see kind of how things go. But I do think that we have the chance to be a very competitive team this year. So we've always had the ability to put up a lot of points. But I think something that'll help us out a lot and take a lot of pressure off of a lot of people is defense. That's something that you always have control over. Offense, you might miss some shots, you might make some shots, but every game you can go in and play really strong defense. So I think that'll make us that much more competitive this year.
It'll be interesting to see if that's the case. If Western Illinois does make some steps defensively, and I think on the rebounding side too, that was an area where they really struggled last year. And watch out, this Leatherneck team could be right up near the top now.
Yes. All right. Coming up next, the southernmost and the westernmost representatives in the league. Oral Roberts and Denver picked right in the middle of the pack going into this season. We will preview ORU and BU coming up. Welcome back to the Summer League Women's Basketball Coaches Show. Oral Roberts, Bradley, was a Summer League powerhouse in the late 2000s, won their latest regular season championship in 2011. They left the Summit League, of course, for a couple of years. Came back in 2015. They finished fourth 4 times since then, and then dropped down to 8th place last year in the league out of 9 teams. What's going on with ORU?
That was definitely an unusual season there last year. They had some struggles, and I think specifically shooting the basketball. I think they started to rely a little bit more on their perimeter game. Didn't have the inside attack I think that they usually have had in the past. So saw some of those offensive numbers and efficiencies drop down a little bit, and as a result, not as many wins.
All right, everybody has a larger than usual roster this year. Oral Roberts certainly does. Here's David Brown with ORU head coach Misty Cousin.
We've got 18 players on this year's roster because of our 3 super seniors returning back to us this year with Kinney and Reagan and Mania Jones. And and only 2 true freshmen as opposed to 8 a previous season. So there's just more experience. There's just more knowledge.
Last season obviously featured several interruptions. I think I counted you guys had 5 games canceled due to COVID protocols. You dealt with injuries. Were you even ever really able to get in a rhythm last year?
Not really. I think it seemed like we kind of came out of the blocks with a tough one, when it wasn't always COVID's fault. We came out of the blocks and played over in Fayetteville, and 3 minutes into the first quarter in Fayetteville, Kenny went down with probably the worst ankle sprain I've ever seen in my 25 years of coaching. It looked like she had on a purple sock the day after the game. And so automatically you had a very young team last year, and that was just kind of where we were this last season. And so then you threw into that injuries and you threw into that COVID, and chaos became our new normal, this last year. So we're excited to have a full roster. We're excited to really have a really pretty healthy roster, right now as well. And but as far as the question about the rhythm, no, I don't know that there's probably a lot of teams that could claim that too, but I think we definitely had some special circumstances in that this last year.
There were some bright spots for you last year, probably one of them being Tierney Coleman, freshman, Summit League Freshman of the Year. What did you think of her freshman season, and how has she worked on her game to improve as a sophomore for this upcoming season?
I think in this offseason with Tierney, I think Tierney was definitely that player that athletically and kind of just with her gifted, with the ball in her hands, Tierney was a player that was able to average 14 and a half, 15 points a game in conference play this last year. She ended up being a 40% plus percentage 3-point shooter in conference, which she wasn't doing that early in the season, but she worked on it and earned it in January and February. I think this offseason has definitely been about a defensive transformation for Tierney. She's got to, in order to continue to play at the caliber she's got to get her defense to match the level of what she can do offensively in order to be a productive player in our system.
Everyone gets an extra year of eligibility because of the COVID season, and you did have most of your team come back. You mentioned the 3 super seniors with Reagan and Kenny and Mania, but with Reagan and Kenny in particular, those are the 2 that have been with you for years upon years.
Yeah.
What's it like to have those 2 specifically back for you?
They are, I would keep them for 5 more years if I could. I know every coach has players like that, and Reagan and Kenny are both that way too. You almost begin to talk to them and lean on them like you would a staff member, as far as just their experience and just their longevity and their dependability. They're 2 young women who have always taken great ownership of our program. We give them a lot of responsibility with communication with their teammates and leadership situations. I think it took until maybe officially, it was after the first of the year when they both made their official decision that they would be back this season. And I don't know if I would have accepted any other answer besides that. In all honesty, just I love those 2 women. I love their families and what they've meant to our program and how they represent ORU. So I probably would have tried some wheeling and dealing if it had been the other answer besides for coming back, Coach.
Well, certainly plenty of returners there that she mentioned as well that are very, exciting to have back for Oral Roberts. But I'm going to tell you about another player, Katie Scott, a player that's going to be transferring to Oral Roberts from Grand Canyon University. One of the best players in the WAC last year. Is going to be a 6'3" sophomore. Maybe she's kind of that inside presence that this Golden Eagles team needs to get them back going.
All right, and Kenny Jo Lippy was great last year after that early ankle injury that Coach talked about. Lippy was 4th in the league and scoring 7th in made threes. Here's Kenny Jo Lippy.
I love basketball. I love ORU. I was really excited about what I knew that this year could bring, and it was another chance to come back and play. Like, why not? I just wasn't ready to let it go yet, and so I'm really excited for what we're going to do this year.
What will it take for this year's group to take that next step?
I think that facing adversity with aggression and with an excitement to face that adversity. I'm really excited with everything that we've been doing in this off season. And I know that we are going to attack every game, but whenever things start to go wrong, just kind of rallying together and getting together and just be like, we can do this. So pretty much just aggression and getting over that hump.
Got to have some grit, Bradley.
You do. And I think any coach in the Summit League would love to have a player like Kenny Joe Lippy leading them, and someone who's played so many games, a lot of experience. I think, this is an Oral Roberts team. They were picked 6th. I had them a little bit higher in my poll.
Yep, we will see what happens with the Golden Eagles. And a little like Oral Roberts, Denver, kind of the same. They've been hanging around in the middle of the standings, 5-9. They were 6th place in the standings at the end of the regular season last year.
Now, this is another team that really likes to get up and down the floor. They love to play with a lot of pace, high possession game. This is a team that didn't really have a lot of offensive struggles, but the defensive side slowing teams down. Let's see if they can get a little more balance this year. If they can, maybe they can start making some noise as well.
Dosha Woods took over as head coach midseason. Last year in Denver, here is Jay Elson with Coach Woods.
Well, Coach, year 2 for you at Denver. And, I think you came in kind of late in the game last year and kind of had to hit the ground running in a lot of ways, especially with all those unique circumstances we were dealing with. Overall, how did you feel like things went in year 1? Were you pleased with the overall progress that you saw in your program?
The first year was a lot to learn. As I said last year, I kind of liked that it was in a pandemic. It gave me a chance to really just focus in because of all the restrictions. But just in terms of what I'm building here with the culture, I really just enjoyed having a chance to do that, get to know our players. And I made a lot of hard decisions just in terms of playing time and explaining that to some of our players how important the culture was. And so by the end of the year, to see them come around and really just buy into what I want to do, both me and my staff. So I know it didn't show up in terms of wins and losses, but I'm proud of the culture we were able to establish, and we can continue to build going into year 2.
And culture is a word I keep hearing about what you're trying to do there. It's a very important part of what you're trying to build. So just in respect to that, how do you feel about the progress that you've seen already?
That's honestly what I'm most proud of here. I think at the end of the day, we're going to play basketball for 4 or 5 years, depending on, and as I tell our players, anybody that we're recruiting, it's really after that, the fun for me. So we don't do captains. It's my goal that everybody is put in a leadership position. So I'm very proud about that part.
As far as the X's and O's go, you came in and offensively, your team performed very well. You guys could really score it. That was definitely not an issue.
Yeah, we couldn't defend. Good God. I told him this year, I said, look, if we're not going to play defense, we need to get 80 points a game and give up 75. That's the only way I'm going to be satisfied. But no, you're right. We definitely like to shoot. We like to get up minimum 33s a game. That's really credits to Coach Dubs. She is our offensive coordinator. Loves our motion offense, which we just try to score quick and easy. And again, defensively, we're just trying to at least clean up a little bit. So it reflects that to do so well offensively and to give up so much on the other side of the ball has been our focus since the spring. So I'm excited to see that. Those numbers kind of play our favor this year. But offensively, we definitely love to shoot the ball. And as quick, we like to play fast, free, and have fun, if I can sum our style up in a few words.
Finally, a great core of returners that you have, and Uju Zudu certainly there among them, Megan Boyd and Anna Jackson. I mean, that's a really nice core to build around, and players that now have a year of experience in your system and in your program. And that's is that something that you're very excited about, just in terms of trying to build around that group?
You come in this, and I came in kind of blind. They didn't know me, I didn't know them. And to be able to build a relationship with those three, the conference doesn't have a most improved player, but I say this all the time. If they did, Anna Jackson would have gotten it hands down from how she spent her first 2 years. And, a lot of credits to Megan and Uju. We won 7 games last year. And frankly, it was about 5 games that I had to sit them down, didn't play them in long stretches, didn't start them. Just because the culture was important to me. So to see how they've responded, not only to me, but how they're able to lead their teammates, I couldn't be more proud of those two. And then, like I said, with Anna, she's kind of like the grandma of the team, but those three are 3 that I rely heavily on and I expect a lot of. And as we talked about, just what they're able to do for us, not only on the court, but off the court, I expect a lot. And they're able to kind of share a lot with me. So it's been a great relationship that we've all been able to build. And I can't wait to see them flourish as well.
Well, 33s a game. That's what caught my eye.
They put up 28 a game last year, so they're right at that.
They weren't too far off of that, but I mean, that's almost half of your shots coming from the arc. If you're doing that, you better be knocking them in. They made almost 9 a game last year. Probably need to be a little bit more than that.
All right, Uju Azudu, here she is talking about how Coach Woods, who you heard talk about culture, how Coach Woods has made a huge impact on this Denver program already.
One of the first things she said when she came here and she became our head coach last year was she wanted to change the culture of Denver, and it needed a culture change. It needed it to be in the right direction, a positive direction. She's a very calm kind of coach, but who's definitely energetic. She's a player's coach as well, but she's not a pushover. She's someone who's hard and sticks into what she says, and she believes in what she says, but also she lets us put our input in as well. And I think that's something that's very great, having a coach that listens to the players. So her just coming in with a positive attitude, also being level-headed and calm in high-tense situations. So she's definitely the right leader and great leader for this team. Even in high school at AAU, I would always see myself as a back to the basket kind of player, post-wise, even though I'm definitely small for my size. She kind of helped me realize that and kind of like get out of my head and made me explore my outside game and just not being afraid. Like I was never really afraid to go to the basket, and I had confidence in myself, but her also instilling her confidence in me, and that combination like just let me kind of, I guess, go crazy. But yeah, being under her, I definitely flourished, and I love playing under her. She's like one of the best coaches I've ever had.
We can hear how much a coach can mean to a player as far as confidence goes. And I tell you, this Denver team, they play with great confidence on that offensive end. You look at Izudu, Boyd, and Jackson, all three of them really good scorers for the Pioneers.
Got to defend for Coach Woods, though. All right, Denver coming in at number 5. Coming up, we get to the top 4 in the preseason rankings. Kansas City with 2 of the top guards in the league, and North Dakota State as the Bison keep on building it better and better.
The Summit League Coaches Show on Midco Sports is presented by Vance Thompson Vision, Pioneer, Avera Orthopedics, and Billionauto.com.
Welcome back to the Summer League Women's Basketball Coaches Show. We are counting down from number 10 to number 1 in the women's preseason rankings. And let's get to Kansas City at number 4. Bradley, Kansas guys, we love having Kansas City back in the Summit League. The Roos rejoined the league last season, won games against everybody except USD and South Dakota State, lost a 1-point game in the first round of the Summit League tournament. They were good in the WAC. And appears to be good for Kansas City in the Summit.
Yeah, I think they're going to continue to make progress. I always think it's tougher for that team that comes in. They got to learn scouting report on 8 or 9 new teams. That was Kansas City's kind of lot in life last year. I think they're going to be even better this year. They've got some really good players.
Here is Kansas City head coach J.C. Hoyt.
It was just a great experience for our players to, I think, just get to go against such quality competition every single game. And I think that was probably the biggest eye-opener for us as a staff and as a team was just in this conference, you have to be at your best every game. And there's no teams that are going to, beat themselves. You have to find ways to win. And I think that our team understands that a lot better now. And it will pay off moving forward, understanding that.
Those top teams, North Dakota State, South Dakota, I think you went 1-5 against them last year, but that's kind of going to be the secret this year is to find a way to kind of jump into that top 3, right? How do you do that?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I think you have to have the players that are capable of playing at a high level. And I think that my staff did an amazing job in the offseason of going out and finding players that we feel like can do that and be competitive. And the other thing is just, like I said, you just have to focus on the process because they're so high quality. And, you look at the history of the conference and how many teams have made a postseason in the last 5 years and the NCAA tournament. That's hard to do. That's really hard to do. So it's not an easy task, but I'm competitive and our team is competitive and we're ready for the challenge.
And speaking of players, Nero and Elnadas, you've got 2 of the best guards in the league. Everybody would agree on that, I think, and that's a pretty good place to start, right?
Yeah, it's a great place to start. Last year I think was so different and new for coaches across the country in terms of the transfer portal and, of course, the COVID year and everyone getting that year back. And of course, all the best players came back on the best teams, but I thought that we really just benefited from the transfer portal in the biggest way or best way possible because we had our core players come back and believe in what we're doing. But we were also able to add on some really nice additions.
You guys are old, aren't you? I mean, that's good, and that's good.
It's so funny. I'll be like, okay, freshmen down at this end, and then the grandmas down at this end. We are very veteran, and that has been fun to coach as well, just having that experience.
Well, everyone's kind of old this year a little bit with no eligibility, but I do think you look at Kansas City, they have a lot of veteran presence. That's going to help them. Alnada's a terrific guard, maybe one of the best, if not the best guard in the Summit. I mean, she's really athletic, can get downhill, shoots it well. Had a breakout year last year after battling some injuries, but the years before that.
Yeah, they've got 3 grad players and 4 seniors, and everybody is old, but really Kansas City. And the Roos made 9 threes per game last year. They shot 36% as a team. Mandy Willems was a big part of that.
Sometimes the gym matters. Shooters are definitely going to say it's a shooter's gym, but other than that, you just kind of have to go in with a good mindset every night and just be ready to shoot. Coming into it, we transitioned from the WAC conference into the Summit League last year, and it was definitely a big adjustment for us, I'd say, just going in every single night and battling with every team. Every team is definitely a tough opponent, and that's something that we definitely realized going along. So we're just really working on our consistency right now in practice and just building that team chemistry. And if just we continue to do that and stick to our principles, then I think we have a pretty good shot at shaking things up in the Summit League this season.
I think in order for them to do that, yes, they got to continue to shoot it well. They've got to take better care of the basketball. Almost 16 turnovers a game. That's the thing that really hurt Kansas City in some of their losses.
Yeah, it would be fun to see somebody kind of challenge those top teams, and maybe Kansas City can get up there this year. All right, North Dakota State. Coach Jory Collins is going into his 3rd season now. Took over going into the 2019-20 season. The Bison had 7 wins before he got there. They had 11 wins his first year, 15 the year after that. They were over 500 in the Summit League last year for the first time since 2010 when they went 9-7. He's done a fantastic job.
He sure has. And you talk to other Summit League coaches, and they knew when North Dakota State made that hire that North Dakota State was about ready to start getting better because of Jory Collins, and it has happened, and he's done a terrific job. Really kind of solidified themselves as the number 3 team. Guess what? They want to make that next step. Let's see if they can do it this year.
All right, here's Brian Sean with Coach Collins.
All right, guys, here with Jory Collins, and the Bison women probably have even more higher expectations this year after a 3rd-place finish in the Summit League a year ago. It's the highest finish the program has had in almost a decade. But I'm guessing you still want more, Jory.
Well, there's a couple spots there to get. It's been definitely a progress for us, and I feel like we're on a good path. We're trying to build on first year to second year to third year, and obviously this is a year where we have some returners finally. A really good core group that were young players last year that made a significant impact on our program, and I've loved what I've seen out of them in the summer, in the fall, and the growth that the young players have had to now maybe some upperclassmen and veterans. So I'm looking forward to seeing that playing out and see how that turns out for us.
I know one area that you were constantly concerned about, that you were trying to hope your team would get better at, was ball security, limiting turnovers. Was that a focus then in the offseason?
Yeah, it's been something we've been talking about, and part of that was we had new ball handlers, young ball handlers, and just a young group in a lot of areas, especially on the perimeter. So just with some more maturity, more feel for what we're doing. I tell you, being this summer and being able to start workouts and having some recall about what we've done the year before for the first time has made everybody much more comfortable in what we're doing and how we do it. So I didn't feel like we were starting from scratch this year, and we were able to build upon last year and the year before in a much better way. And I think that will help us manage some possessions a little bit better as we play.
Depth is always an area where you want to try to get better, and you probably feel like you have the most depth you've had now. You're able to add some pieces, and you get Emily Dietz back, which was a huge get too.
Yeah, and going into last year, we had no idea that we were going to be able to get Emily Dietz back, and she's been, she's showed tremendous growth in her time here at NDSU and has become a major factor in the lane for us on both ends of the floor, and she just does the right things, almost all the time. And, our depth this year is going to be the best we've had since we've been here. We feel like we have 10 players that we feel like we can play and make really good contributions. Right now, hopefully that gets to 11 and 12 as we give some people opportunities and some young players to do some things. But that's 2 or 3 more than we felt like could be difference makers before. We've had people that can play and manage some minutes, but now you feel like, hey, there's a bunch of different people that can come in the game. That always makes a big difference, especially in big games.
You've been pretty consistent in what you've been preaching, what you're trying to get accomplished. Have you added anything? Is there anything specific that you've maybe brought to the group to try to get them to elevate, schematically or otherwise?
No, we've talked about, we're always doing different things. We're always tinkering with things and adding some things scheme-wise for us that we feel like fit our personnel. As they mature and get better, we're asking them to do more things. The first 80%, it seems to be the easy part. The last 20% or going from 3 to 1 is a heck of a lot harder than going from 9 to 3 because the competition and the attention to detail that takes to go from pretty good to the best. You're asking that much more out of your team and your players. So we've upped the attention to detail a little bit and the accountability in some areas, and hopefully that pays off for us down the stretch.
All right, Jory, appreciate the time as always, man. Good luck, and we'll see you down the road.
Thank you.
I think he makes a really good point there. The jump they've made so far has been sizable. Yeah. It's maybe been the easier jump. Yeah, getting into that first or second, dethroning USD or SDSU, that's going to be a tough jump for NDSU to make.
Part of their big resurgence has been Heaven Hamling, a transfer from Stephen F. Austin, who played her first year in Fargo last season, led them in scoring, and she is back to keep it rolling.
And we just kind of went out there and played the best we can and shocked a lot of teams. But now that they know what we got, we just got to execute everything way better than we did last year. Just be more precise in our plays and just execute offense and defense and not turning the ball over as much and just give ourselves extra opportunities. Years past, we always had kind of like the same level of kids. We were all young. So now we have some upperclassmen that are really stepping in and just taking a lot of leadership and guiding the new freshmen in, and that will really help us.
Well, Hamling had a huge game in what was almost a huge win last year for NDSU. They lost to USD by 1 point. I think that was a big step for this program. They knew they can compete with a team like USD. Let's see now if they can turn that into a win or two this year against the top.
Yeah, she was really good. All right, coming up next, we get to the top 2 in the preseason poll. The Jackrabbits and the Coyotes are both loaded again. Welcome back. In 9 of the last 10 seasons, knew it, either South Dakota or South Dakota State has won the regular season in Summer League women's basketball and or the Summer League tournament championship, and nobody thinks that's going to change anytime soon, right?
Probably not, especially when you look at both these teams and how dominant they were last year. Their only regular season losses were 2 losses that USD suffered to SDSU, so they didn't lose to any other teams. And on top of that, these teams have everybody back. So why wouldn't you put them 1 and 2 again? And they almost split the first place votes, which shouldn't be a surprise either.
South Dakota State brings back super seniors Haley Greer, Tylee Irwin, Maya Selland is back. Just about everybody else, as you said. Here is head coach Aaron Johnston. How much is your system? Every year you're always going to do this the same, and how much is flexible and depends on the players? Is it always 50-50 or does that change?
I think it depends on what side of the ball for us. I think defensively we have some real core principles that we try and put in place every single year. I always feel like we're a really good defensive team. We've had some really good offensive teams, so sometimes our defense, I think, is overshadowed or maybe overlooked. But I think on the defensive side, it's probably small tweaks every year, but there's a plan that we want, in place going forward. On the offensive side of the ball, I think we're quite a bit different each year to really fit our personnel. Offensive strengths are so specific. Some are just great shooters, teams I'm talking about. Some are great at attacking the line. Some are great in transition. There's just a lot of ways to play offense. And so I think on that side of the ball, we're different really every year. We probably have some similar thoughts, but we want to play fast. We want to take care of the ball. But who our go-to players are different. Sometimes we've been really post-heavy, sometimes guard-heavy in terms of scoring. So we really try and tailor the offensive side to where those really good offensive players sit.
Where does that come out this year offensively?
Well, I think this year's teams, like some of our past ones, will be really versatile. I think our guard play has really taken some steps forward from last year. We have 2 freshmen, Haley Timmer and Paige Meyer, that we expect both will be able to help us and play big roles for us. So that'll change the perimeter lineup a little bit. Our forward group, I think, is deeper than we were. Callie Tyson is back and healthy now. Last year, I know she played at the end of the year, but was really just scratching the surface coming back from a tough injury. Mesa Byam's got another year experience players. Peyton Burkhart's in there. Tori, Maya, we can use them at different positions as well. So there's a lot of versatility in that forward position. So for us, I think we have a chance to really move people around. I do think we have to play a little faster tempo this year. Last year, I think we were a little bit more of a half-court kind of grinded out team. We've got to be a little bit more consistent with some of our shooting percentages this year. And so we're trying to find the right plan to help those things move forward.
And Maya Selland a few days ago said she's not 100% back, but she's getting close. What's the status on Maya?
Yeah, she's doing really well. She's starting to do some certainly on-court activities. Is she ahead? Is she behind? I'm always uncomfortable saying that because everybody's is a little bit different, but she's in a really good place. We would expect her to play an awful lot this year. I certainly don't think it'll be a situation where she has to miss a lot of time. We expect her back and being real close to healthy.
Selland had that knee injury back in late February, so it's been not quite 8 months. They're bringing her back slowly, but she is the preseason player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows you right there. I mean, she had a terrific year last year, was the player of the year, deservedly so. But, I mean, that's the question that's out there in this Summer League women's race is how long is Maya Selland going to take to get back to where she was? I can't imagine a player that wants it more and is more capable of coming back from the injury that she had than her. That's the question that's out there, though.
Tylee Irwin had her best year really as a Jackrabbit last year. It was an easy decision for her, she says, to come back for a 5th year this year.
I just kind of saw it as like a bonus year. I mean, right away when AJ said that was even going to be an option for the NCAA and that they were going to allow us another year of eligibility, I was just like, well, that's just another opportunity to be a Jackrabbit for another year. So I was really excited about it. It was a pretty easy decision for me. I've kind of played quite a few roles, I guess you could say, but like as a freshman playing behind Macy and Maddie and, all those seniors every year, kind of just set the tone for me, I guess, coming into like senior season and stuff, knowing obviously those are big shoes to fill, but kind of having them to practice against every day and going against them all these years really helped me, I think, grow as a player. I've had to grow defensively a lot. That was kind of my main thing as a freshman and sophomore is that to play, I was going to need to play defense and rebound. And so that was kind of a big thing for me. And I think I've improved at that. But yeah, the scoring, I would say, it just kind of comes down to roles changing.
Well, you look at Tylee Irwin, she's gotten better every single year. Probably had her best season last year as her senior. Now the super senior year, I expect big things out of her, especially with Selland's out at the beginning of the year still trying to come back. I think Irwin's going to be kind of one of their go-to players on the perimeter.
And another note, 2 Jacks who played a lot last year are not on the roster this season. Jordan Farron and Sydney Stapleton are still in school at SDSU, but they're just not going to play hoops, according to head coach Aaron Johnston. And that brings us to South Dakota. The Coyotes are 67-9 in the Summer League under head coach Don Plitzowite. They've won the last 2 Summer League tournament championships. They led the league in scoring and scoring margin because they led the league in defense last year too. What else about the Coyotes?
Well, they have dominated in a lot of ways in the Summer League, but I think the thing you look at this program and the step that they haven't taken yet, and that's postseason play. And getting into the NCAA tournament, they've done that, but they haven't won there yet. And this is a program that's been ranked in the top 25 a lot. And so that's the step that this program, I think, has really got their eye on.
All right, here is Jay Elson with head coach Don Plitzowite.
All right, a new season is upon us, Coach, and coming off a 19-6 year last year, as weird as that year was, very successful for your program, another tournament championship, and as you enter what feels like should be a more normal season, how are you feeling about where things are at?
Well, I think we have a very experienced crew, obviously, a crew that's been through the heart of a season and the grind of a season, and so I think they're very hungry, and I think they're very eager to get started.
You look at this team, and one tremendous luxury that you have is that big 3 of Hannah Shervin, Chloe Lamb, Liv Corrigan. Well, it's not a bad foundation for any program, but to have all 3 of those back, and that's something that last year gave you was the opportunity to get all them back. It was not a guarantee that they would all take advantage of that, and they did. And I'm sure that means an awful lot to you and your program and what you're trying to do going forward, knowing that those 3 are at the heart of everything you do.
Well, certainly those 3 super seniors, in Chloe, Liv, and Hannah, are not only great basketball players, but they're incredible teachers to the younger their younger teammates. And in practice, a lot of times they'll stop and they'll instruct their teammates and help them, but they also lead by example in so many other ways off the court. With that group of super seniors, we also have Reagan Sankey, who is joining that senior class, and she's doing just a tremendous job right now of taking on the other leadership sides of our program that maybe she hasn't done before, and so it's great to see that as well.
One thing that having those ladies all back to you is certainly, I would think, helps in the development of some of your younger players, because you don't have to rely on them for as much as you might otherwise if they weren't available. So how much have you seen from the sophomores and now the freshmen, just being able to work with those ladies each and every day, and the production that you're seeing out of them maybe a little bit quicker than you otherwise would?
Well, absolutely. And I think what's really an advantage for those, are we calling them super freshmen? Some people are calling them redshirt freshmen. We're calling them super freshmen at this point in time. But some of the advantages for those younger kids and our true freshmen is that they have a chance to see Liv and Chloe in drills on the perimeter end and Hannah in drills on the post end, and to see how we can go back on film and say, and this is a really good example of what it should look like. And so they can see it every day. They can go against it. Plus, they're practicing with and against some great players, and that's only going to make them better.
The expectations for this program year in and year out really don't change at this point. You guys have had a lot of success, and obviously that's reflected in this year's preseason poll with where you guys ended up at the top of the heap. So has the message at all changed? And I know some of them are hearing it for the first time, but are you approaching this the way you would any other year?
Well, we are, and I think what's important for us to understand is that every game is important, and it starts with our non-conference schedule, and our non-conference schedule is very loaded with great mid-majors, some great Power Five, some teams from different conferences, different styles of play, teams where we're playing in a venue that's a neutral court, teams that we're going on the road, teams that are here, but they're all really quality opponents. And so this is a veteran group, and a group that is excited for that challenge, a group that will compete in those challenges, but also a group that I think will continue to learn and grow and get better through all of that. And that's what's important for us, certainly not only for the non-conference, but to build into our conference season.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how it all comes together for you. Excited for another year of Coyote basketball. Good luck to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jay.
Well, to our point about the NCAA tournament and wanting to get wins there, I think Dawn Plitzelwhite put her non-conference schedule together with that in mind. I mean, get this start, Tom. They play Oklahoma their first game in Vermillion. That'll be fun. And then a few days later, come up to Sioux Falls and you play South Carolina, the #1 preseason team. So they're going to get some great tests right away.
And talking about the postseason, getting to the NCAA tournament, here's Hannah Shervin with more on that.
I think there was definitely throughout the year, I was trying not to think about it too much. I wanted to focus on what was going on and having a successful season while I was here. And then I think losing to Oregon in the tournament just left like a sour taste, and I didn't want that to be the end of my career here at USD. So I think talking with the coaches and my parents and everyone, it just seemed like the right decision to come back. For a while now, our goal has been, make it to the tournament and win a game, and we haven't been able to do that second part. So definitely feeling like there's still unfinished business in the tournament.
Right there, you hear it. Shervin, Lamb, Corngable, those seniors, they're focused on getting that tournament win. I think they're very capable of doing it. In fact, I'd even set the bar. They might not just get one. They could easily get a couple wins in the NCAA tournament.
Got to win the Summer League tournament to do that. Here's a look at how they were picked in the preseason poll to finish in the regular season. South Dakota and South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Kansas City, and Denver in the top 5. St. Thomas comes into the league this year. Who knows, Bradley?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, those top 2 teams have really had a stranglehold, but I tell you what, North Dakota State's getting better and better. Can they challenge one of those top 2 teams? And then I think you got lots of possibilities there in the middle. You got programs that are really on the rise. It's going to be another just terrific year.
All right, regular season games start on November 9th, and we will see you out there. Thanks for watching the Summer League Coaches Show.